Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are tossing all that societal gossip, unsolicited advice, and internet panic right out the window. Instead, we're going to dig into the highly nuanced, raw data regarding maternal age and child development. So if you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the ticking of the so-called biological clock, take a deep breath because you are in exactly the right place.
We're tackling those exact fears that whisper to women across their 20s, 30s, and 40s. You know the thoughts I'm talking about. Maybe you're holding a positive test, or maybe you're just trying to plan out your future, and suddenly that nagging question pops into your head. Should I have waited until I was more financially secure?
Or maybe you're on the complete flip side of that spectrum, asking yourself, wait, am I too late? Because let's be real, the internet absolutely bombards prospective parents with these grim, sensationalized warnings. They tell you that waiting too long might severely damage a child's brain, or that having a child too early might ruin their focus and development. And then, of course, there's the loudest, most persistent question of the whole bunch. Are my eggs just too old? It's a terrifying question to confront, but today we're stepping right into the science lab. We're going to translate these scary rumors into realistic scientific probabilities that you can actually understand and use. So let's systematically dismantle this panic together. By the time we wrap up this explainer, you're going to see exactly why the truth is surprising, incredibly nuanced, and honestly, way less scary than the rumors make it out to be. All right, moving into section 1, the weak egg myth. What is actually happening here? To really understand if older eggs are biologically weaker, I want you to imagine a giant library. You are born with all the books, or in this case, eggs, you will ever have, which is about 1 to 2 million. By puberty, your library is down to around 300,000. And by your late 30s, your egg count drops to roughly 25,000. But here is the real secret. It is not about the number of books left in the library. It's about the typos inside them. Inside each egg, chromosomes have to split perfectly. Now, as an egg ages, there's this cellular glue called cohesin that holds the chromosomes together. Over time, that glue basically wears out and gets brittle. When that glue fails, chromosomes struggle to separate cleanly. This leads to something called aneuploidy, which is really just a fancy word for an egg having too many or too few chromosomes. And this specific mechanism right here perfectly explains the rise in miscarriage risks as a woman ages. Now, the numbers do accelerate. By age 43, roughly 85% of eggs have these chromosomal typos. But please hear this clearly. This is a matter of probability, not a biological death sentence. A 40-year-old can absolutely have a perfectly healthy egg, and a 22-year-old can have an abnormal one. Age is just a risk factor. It's not some absolute guarantee of your outcome.
Let's jump to section 2, decoding the real numbers, autism and maternal age.
So does chromosomal aging directly cause these conditions? Let's look at the older mom risk for the 35-plus crowd. Studies show older mothers have a 48% increased relative risk for autism spectrum disorder. Sounds huge, right? But we have to translate that terrifying relative percentage into absolute risk, the actual practical number you take to the hospital. If the baseline risk is about 1 in 54, a 48% increase merely shifts your absolute risk to just 1 in 36.
And when you flip that absolute risk around, you get a highly reassuring number, 97.3%. That means 97.3% of children born to older mothers will absolutely not have autism due to this specific maternal age factor. When we actually look at the real data like this, the fear kind of just dissipates, doesn't it?
On to section 3, the surprising U-shaped curve and the hidden risks for younger mothers.
Research actually shows that having a baby in your teens or early 20s carries some significant, very distinct risks. Children born to mothers between 18 and 24 face a 70% increased risk of ADHD and a 36% increased risk of learning disabilities when compared to mothers aged 25 to 29. But why is that? Well, it's not because younger eggs are weak, it's an environmental factor. Younger mothers statistically face way higher rates of socioeconomic stress, nutritional deficits, and unsteady environments. All this environmental stress elevates the hormone cortisol, which then crosses the placenta and alters the fetal brain's stress response system. That directly influences the child's future attention and impulse control. And this brilliantly illustrates what we call the U-shaped curve. When you plot maternal age against neurodevelopmental risk, you can literally see that risks are elevated at the extremes, the teens and the late 30s. But the lowest risk zone, the absolute sweet spot, sits right in the late 20s to early 30s. It's a striking visual that really challenges that simple "younger is always better" narrative.
Next up, section 4,
the forgotten genetic factors. Let's look at a broader canvas here.
Look, maternal age is just one tiny domino in a massive genetic row. For way too long, the burden has been placed entirely on women. We really need to reframe the conversation to include paternal age. Because guess what? Sperm mutates too. Studies show that older fathers, specifically guys over 45, contribute a significant number of new de novo genetic mutations to their children. These mutations are strongly linked to autism and schizophrenia. So blaming the mother's eggs alone is scientifically incomplete and frankly just unfair.
Plus, what happens during those 9 months in the intrauterine environment matters far more than the mother's birth year. Severe infections like the flu, a lack of vital nutrients like folic acid, exposure to heavy metals, or unmanaged metabolic issues like gestational diabetes, these things have profound impacts on fetal development. The environment inside the womb is a massive player in this whole game.
Finally, Section 5, From Anxiety to Agency. Let's get into some actionable takeaways.
Okay, here is your actionable blueprint. If you're an older prospective mother, your focus should be on optimizing your terrain. Prioritize those prenatal vitamins, consciously lower your stress, manage your blood sugar, and definitely utilize early genetic screenings. If you're a younger mother, the focus is on securing the environment. Seek out nutritional support, mental health counseling, and try to build stability. These physical, controllable actions drastically improve outcomes, completely regardless of how old your eggs actually are.
I want to leave you with this profound thought to wrap up our explainer today. Parenthood is a marathon, not a sprint. Your age might set the starting line, but your lifestyle, healthcare, and genetics run the actual race. Stop fixating on this elusive perfect age. Focus on your holistic health, control what you can control, and just let go of the number on your birthday cake. Because here's the ultimate question you have to ask yourself. Are you going to let a statistical whisper dictate your joy, or are you going to lace up your shoes and confidently run the race in front of you?